Hi, everyone. We're going to be doing an interview with the chief owner of McEwen Mining, Rob McEwen, momentarily. I'll be back. So while we're waiting for Rob to come and do his mic check, I just want to give you a few data statistics. So gold is about 12% off its all-time high. So it has had a major rally this year. We're going to be asking Rob where he thinks gold is headed. Goldman Sachs thinks it's headed for sure to 1800, but they thought it would happen a little bit later on in the year. Also, I wanted to show you the chart for McEwen Mining, which is at 80 cents today. It's up from, it was down to 50 cents a few days ago. And of course, its all-time high, it's hit $8, $9, $10 a share multiple times over the past decades. And then we have also the price on gold that I will be sharing with you, and also a couple of pictures of Rob. So stay tuned. You'll get a lot of data, statistics, information, but more importantly, you'll hear from Rob himself. So thank you so much for joining me today. It is March 26th, 2020. It's noon Eastern, and I am so honored. And thank you, Rob, for joining us today. I'm sure you have a lot of things on your plate and a lot of things to do. So thank you for joining us. We have Rob McEwen. He is the chief owner of McEwen Mining, but and he's going to give you the exact numbers on this. But as by introduction, I just want to say I started following Rob when he was the CEO and chairman of Goldcorp. And I watched him take that company from about 500 million to 8 billion. And I also watched him find reserves by outsourcing and using the internet at a time when nobody else was really doing that. So he's an innovator, he's experienced, he's been in gold for many decades, and he knows what he's talking about. So Rob, welcome and thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, Natalie.
Always my pleasure to have you and your wisdom. So where's gold going in general?
I think it's going higher. There are a couple of things that are happening with this coronavirus. One is concern about the broad market and need for liquidity, but also you're seeing disruptions in the supply chain of gold. About 1/3 of the refiners worldwide are closed down for a period of time, and that is going to disrupt some of the paper gold that's out there that's based on certain assumptions of supply.
Yeah. You mean, in other words, the gold trusts and that sort of thing?
Well, beyond that, the derivatives, the commodity markets, the futures. And I think if you look at the derivative market by itself is many times bigger, orders of magnitude bigger than the stock market. And it's all based on underlying assumptions. And if you think back to the housing crisis and the global financial crisis, there were all sorts of banks that were guaranteeing loans.
Yeah.
They'd guaranteed more than their asset base.
Exactly.
And so everything started imploding when those underlying assumptions started failing.
So how does that relate, like for the Main Street investor? Does that mean like that 3 times gold miners bull fund is in trouble, or what do you think?
I'm not sure. Some of them aren't performing as well as you would have expected.
Yeah, they're really tanking.
Yes.
It's a technical term.
So you could have problems there, but also looking beyond in the broader market where a lot of the derivatives, they have to liquidate portions of it to make themselves whole.
Well, what about central banks? I mean, this virus, we've seen a liquidity crisis. I mean, we saw the Federal Reserve on March 14th do that emergency meeting and infuse capital, and they said that even the Treasury bill marketplace was having liquidity issues. So, if we're seeing countries have liquidity issues, are they going to have to sell some gold?
No, they'll probably sell debt and print money.
Yeah, well, we're certainly seeing that.
We're seeing it in a big way right now, and we thought before there'd been a lot of money pumped into the system, but now coronavirus is in more than 150 countries, and the governments of those countries are just injecting to try to stave off the economic consequences. But in the intermediate and longer term, I think it's very detrimental to the value of the purchasing power of
Yeah.
all currencies.
Well,
And
and does that make gold then a currency that you can count on?
I believe more people should be looking at gold seriously and adding, if they don't have it in their portfolio, they should put some in their portfolio today.
In what form, though? Like betting that the price will go up through something like the the GLD symbol, or gold miners like a gold mining ETF. In what, or gold bullion? What way?
Well, it's going to depend on their risk profile. But
Okay.
if they have, I think, an intermediate to longer term view, they might step into, and over time, into the equity market. And
Hmm.
risk, there's a real risk profile in the gold equities you can buy. Um, and you might also look at some bullion. You could buy it as a paper like GLD, or some of the other funds out there, or you could just buy physical.
Got
That's a
it.
little more difficult to deal with, and there are issues of going back to a bank where you bought it from after you've taken it out. It's, where has it been in between, and have you altered it?
Interesting. I always thought of the issue of, easier to steal, insure insuring it costs, adds a little
Sure.
bit to it. Also, so, when we think about supply and demand, if supply of gold is being disrupted, you would think that that could bode well to push up the price of gold. Um, have you got any reserves that you can sell at a higher price? Do other gold companies have reserves? Or is it really going to be where, you're offline for a few months and you're going to have to make up time?
The majority are offline, will be offline, and have to make up time. In Goldcorp, we held back quite a bit of gold,
I
but
remember that.
but we're not there today.
Yeah, and then you released it at the high, and it was a genius move. Yeah, I understand. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Oh, I did want to talk about one other thing that I think is very applicable. So oil prices tanking, that should help your profit margins a bit, right? Once
Yes,
you come back online.
it would be more beneficial to the open pit operators that have more trucks moving around and
Hmm.
using more diesel.
You're doing more leach, or what's your
Yep.
operation be?
Um, One of our mines is an open pit heap leach,
Hmm.
uh, but the others are underground, and the fuel isn't as large a component in the underground mines.
Got it. Got it. So let's talk a little bit about getting through this crisis. Do you have the capital?
We can get through the crisis. Well, it depends how long the crisis is. What is your time frame? If it lasts a couple of weeks to a month, a bit more, we don't have any issues. If it lasts a year, it'd be an issue.
Yeah. So hopefully it's end of the flu season, right? I guess that's what we're all hoping for.
Yes, yes. And
Oh no. Yeah,
we
go
do
ahead.
have some pressure on our balance sheet in that we have $50 million of debt,
Yeah.
and partial retirement in August of this year, starting in August. What right now we've been talking to the creditors. I'm one of them,
Yeah.
uh, but it would be extending the term of the debt, and
Hmm.
thereby taking that pressure off to do the partial retirement.
What's the interest rate on that?
9.75%.
Wow. I would think you could refinance that too, huh?
Well, it's funny. You don't get much money in the bank right now on your savings accounts.
Yeah.
Lenders are they're wanting a lot. They're unsure of the risk.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. So let's talk about you losing your president. You didn't give any color on that in the press release. Are you prepared to give any color on that today?
I'm happy.
Good.
Uh, this gentleman was he gave me guidance last year that I conveyed to the market, and every quarter he was wrong, uh,
Mm.
and it cost our shareholders enormously. Whoops, what happened?
I put you up.
Ah, all right.
Sorry,
I
I
didn't.
just wanted people to be able to make sure that people can see you clearly.
I'm in hiding north of Toronto.
Yes.
remote.
Well, we're all quarantined, so we get it.
Um, so he was provided guidance that was unreliable, and he was very good at pointing out, identifying what was wrong, but very slow to address fixing it. And I
Got
like
it.
people that, all right, they see a problem ahead, they're anticipating it, they take action to get around it rather than just staring at it and saying, here's a problem. So,
Exactly.
so we have competent managers at both our mine sites, at Gold Bar, Black Fox. Um, Argentina is run by our partner, Hochschild Mining. They're a very experienced miner. And also in Mexico, we have a good operator, but Mexico's a small part of our production story.
So who are you going to have an acting CEO as you search, or are you going to take on more responsibility, or what's going to happen in the near term and midterm?
I stepped into the void and asked our managers to be constantly in touch. So my focus is more operations right now.
Got it. Got it. But you are searching for someone to
Yes,
replace them.
yes, absolutely, Natalie.
Okay, fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about Gold Bar. Now, wasn't Gold Bar the one that's in Nevada that was supposedly like had the potential for being a great vein in there? Am I right about that? And what have you found? And are you still exploring? Can you give us some insight on that?
Gold Bar is an open pit heap leach mine. The deposit is shallow, but it's located on a geological structure that is 25 miles north of us is Barrick's largest gold mine in the world,
Yeah.
Cortez Hills, and some of their biggest discoveries. I think it's now called Nevada Gold because of its comprises Newmont's assets as well.
Yeah.
So we're in similar geology. We put 2 deep holes down last year. We found the structure we were looking for, but we didn't find any gold. That's not to say it's we're not gonna stop drilling. It's just that where we drilled it wasn't. So we're still looking.
Got it. Got it. Anything else you want to say about that one?
Gold Bar. Right now, we've had we're in there drilling on a property called Gold Bar South. It's about 5 miles away. It's connected to Gold Bar, and we hope to get that permitted this year so we can put that into production. And we're currently doing work to see the resource. We have a question about the resource right now, and
Got it.
we'll have some answers on that in a month and a half's time.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk about Los Azules. This is your big copper resource, am I right?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm assuming you suspended what you were doing there to preserve capital. Is there, you want to give us some color on that? Or maybe I'm wrong, maybe there were other reasons?
The Argentinian government recently shut down all mining operations in the country because of the coronavirus. The work had been doing on Los Azules was perfecting a route, a new route into the property that would allow us to have 12-month access to the property. The current route gives you 5 months access. You have to go cross the river 8 times, and you go through over 2 high mountain passes that
Right.
are, so it's not that accessible. We feel by developing this new route, we'd enhance the value of it and make it more attractive as a joint venture project where a larger company with a larger balance sheet and more experience building a mine of that size would take it over, pay us some money, and we'd have a continued interest going forward. Currently, copper at $2.14, you have to have a longer term horizon before you're going to jump in there and cut a joint venture deal.
Got it. So are you going to keep that kind of on pause even after the coronavirus situation in waiting for copper prices to go up a little bit, or what is the anticipation on that?
We'll be doing some work on the road going in there. There's some surveying being done, but it won't be an area where we're spending a lot of money in the near term.
Are you pretty confident? I was when I was thinking about the capital, having enough capital to get through this. I was wondering about your loan covenants. It sounds like you're a big piece of who the company owes money to. But are you worried at all about loan covenants or that August partial payback date?
Last year we had issues with loan covenants. There's a $10 million um, working capital requirement that you need to meet each quarter. And we had to, unfortunately, do a couple of capital raises last year to satisfy that.
Yeah.
Right now, again, having conversations with, there are two creditors. There's one group that drove all the terms, and then myself. And the loan is 50 million. Each of us put in 25 million. And so that they wouldn't be shut out or conflicted, they have me off to the side.
Got it.
So in terms of, we're asking them for some forbearance. We'll be asking them for forbearance on, it's not so much a working capital issue now, but it's operations shutting down. So it's looking forward and saying, well, what will be our income as we look at the end of June and the end of September?
Got it.
So,
and it seemed like the production guidance was that this year might be actually a little bit lower even before we had the coronavirus impact. Am I right?
that's right. That's right.
What do you see as potential good news going forward, or ways that you're going to hopefully stabilize the price? I mean, as you know, a lot of people that are going to be listening to this are concerned about McEwen's price being so low.
You're not alone. The first quarter is looking good. Production coming out of Mexico, Argentina, out of all of our operations. Second quarter, I think ourselves and all the other producers are going to have a lower number there. And it just depends how long it goes on. We'll have some conceptual designs out on our Gray Fox property, which is below Black Fox. And we think we can do, we hope to get a permit to do a bulk sample there in the second half of the year, which it's higher grade than Black Fox. It's close to surface. It would take up some of the excess capacity in our mill and improve our revenues coming from Black Fox. Gold Bar, there's some questions there. They may be good, they may be not so good. Just on a resource number in the second or third quarter. But that would be, it would be Black Fox that would be pushing it. It's funny, a year ago I would have said Gold Bar was sort of the star and the crown, and now it's Black Fox is coming up quickly there to replace it.
Have you tried that Goldcorp principle that you were the inventor of in Gold Bar, open sourcing it, or seeing if you could do a competition?
I participated in one a few years ago, a company called Integra. I advised on theirs. This may be another period to do that. You want a very exciting discovery, and you want an industry that is underutilized in terms of the intellectual capital. So when we launched the Goldcorp Challenge, it was at the bottom of the gold cycle and there was a lot of spare capacity. And we had a very exciting story. I think we have an exciting story. It's not quite as exciting as Goldcorp. And time will tell if there's going to be excess capacity.
Got it.
But we'll look at that.
Got it. I think another question that came in from one of the people that are on the call today is, they said, hey, it looks like Rob McEwen took his own ownership down, that he sold a little bit. I thought that you had gone from maybe 24% to now 20%. Are my numbers right, or have you bought back in?
No, that was, I didn't sell anything. That was an effect by the issues we did last year. My interest was diluted.
Oh, got it. The capital raises.
But there's been no sales by me.
Thank you for clarifying that.
And, and I
Yes.
did put in 25 million in terms of the loan. So it's about 160 million I have invested in the company right now.
So you want to see the share price go higher as well,
Oh, yes. Like everybody else.
like everybody else. Good. Do you have anything else to say about McEwen, gold mining, gold in general?
Well, you asked the direction. I think gold's going higher. Uh, McEwen Mining has come down quite hard. And I do think we're getting on top of some of the issues, and that Black Fox is a story that one should watch. We need a better copper price before a joint venture in Los Azules will happen. We're looking to rationalize our structure, so we have our Mexican operation up for sale, a joint venture, Los Azules, um, take out some of the complications that people might see in the story.
Got it.
Other than that, we're pushing to try to build value first, which hasn't appeared this year, but I think we're very positive, having gotten rid of our president and COO.
Good. How about, I mean, since you're on the call and we have just a few more minutes, you know, I always like your take on the general macro as well. Are you going to be getting any of this $2 trillion corporate bailout package? Can you stand in line and get a little bit too?
Well, we just announced today that we are partially suspending operations at the gold bar operation in Nevada out of concern for our employees and their families and communities, and also at Black Fox. I think this coronavirus has to be taken seriously, and if we can move to prevent the spread of it, we should be doing it at all costs. So will we be getting any money? There's lots of money being suggested people are going to get, and certainly we're going to be in the line. So at both operations. In terms,
yeah, go ahead.
There's an incredible disruption that's happening all around. Just you're looking at the economic carnage that's taking place.
Yes.
It'll take a while to recover, and it'll take a while for individuals' confidence to return that the economy is on an even keel.
So yeah, I think that's, and by the way, thank you for mentioning, I think that a lot of people see that, you know, that think that the executives are not wanting to care for their people and just want to drive the bottom line and keep things chugging along. So it is refreshing to hear a chief owner, not just a C-level, but a chief owner saying, our workers' health is important to us.
It's number one priority.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I want people to just resonate with that for a moment, that, yeah, there's no wealth without health. There's no economy or capitalism without people that are driving it, and people that are happy, healthy driving it, not just, you know, they don't, what are they going to do if they come to work and they're freaked out that, you know, they can't touch anything? That's not going to be very productive either, is it?
No, it won't be at all. It won't be at all. And we have to combat it with all the tools we have available right now.
Yeah, and hopefully, as they were saying in California, rather than flatten the curve, bend the curve, so that, you know, this, you kind of get a good drop off here. I wanted to ask you, we just got the numbers in, this 3.3 million unemployed in the US. I don't know if you heard that number, but it is a record. I think the last time that we came close was in 1982, and that number was 675,000. So this is an astronomical record. Of course, the markets haven't absorbed it yet. Any comments on that? That's US number, right? I know you have Canadian on your brain too.
I'd say that the economy is running with, it had been running with a huge amount of confidence. There was a lot of optimism that it was expanding. A large part of that optimism was fueled by the quantitative easing and the very low interest rates, those are an anomaly, I think. But governments around the world feel they can print untold amounts of money without any consequences. And history has shown us that that's not the case. History doesn't necessarily always repeat, but I think you have to look at lessons of the past and say, what happens when you put all that money into the system? What happens to the currency, the wealth that each of us have? Does it grow or does it shrink? And you looked at the margin calls, level of margin calls, and the margin in the system. It's very high. Again, a reflection of the confidence. Perhaps it's overconfidence right now.
Thank you, Rob. Any final words of wisdom? It can be on, look, you have been a sophisticated, knowledgeable capital markets guy before you were a gold mining executive. So where you can give words of wisdom that are helpful. Also, I mean, I know all of us appreciate the color on what's happening behind the scenes, but you might have studied history a little bit. You might know, it doesn't take a lot to read the tea leaves if you have the experience and the wisdom and the study of history. So what do you think will help people going forward, maybe in the next month or two, but also in the next 5 years? What do you think are a few things to be thinking about from a household perspective?
I would recommend you have some liquidity, ready cash. There will be opportunities out there, just as we saw after the global financial crisis. Stocks were beaten way down, and you could go in and buy and do very well holding on to the stocks. I have to put a plug in for gold because I'm just a gold bug. I'd like to see more people having some exposure to gold as a form of protection. It's done a very good job of increasing its value over time. Be positive, and let's not try to close our doors. We need to be out there looking for new ideas, ways to doing what we do better, more efficiently. I'd say be optimistic. The world, flus go by, time will pass, and we'll have a smile on our face again, and we won't have to wash our hands every 3 minutes.
Spring is coming.
Spring is coming.
It's a little delayed, but spring is. One last thing. I'm so sorry that I didn't even put this in my questions or my notes, but I was looking at history and I was going, you know, what happened in the Great Depression with gold? Because you think gold would go absolutely bananas, right? And you see that in 1929, it went crazy and then it just stopped. And so I was like, what the heck happened there? And so I looked and FDR outlawed hoarding gold. I think we have to mention that. Any thoughts? Do you think that that's something that that the administrations will try to do if gold starts soaring too high? Do we have to, at least we have to be mindful of history, right?
Yes. Well, it was in 1933, they made it illegal for Americans to own gold. They also confiscated the gold and paid $20 an ounce for that gold that they confiscated. And then a year later, they revalued the official price of gold to $35 an ounce. So about a 75% increase that they got. They did it to bolster the confidence in the dollar at the time. They didn't want a competing form of currency or wealth.
Yeah.
Could they do it again? Absolutely. If confidence in the dollar fell and other currencies and gold started going. I can say that during that period, after the government increased the price of gold, and that would be one way perhaps for the government to deal with the big debt issue, if they came along and put a much higher price on gold, they would say, well, we have these assets and the debt's not as much of a concern now because these gold assets we hold are worth much, much more than earlier. But the gold stocks ran quite strongly. In, I think it was 1934, 35, Homestake was one of the largest companies on the New York Stock Exchange, it represented 5% of the value of the entire value of the stock exchange. It was a gold producer, and it was paying a dividend greater than what, paying a dividend in 34 that was greater than what the share price was trading at in 1929.
Oh my goodness.
So you could suddenly find the gold stocks paying dividends again in sizable quantity.
Got it. Got it. See, I'm glad this is an interesting thing. I'm glad we got on that subject. That's something to look forward to.
It is.
All right, Monsieur. You got the last word. And again, deep gratitude for joining us today. Your wisdom is always welcome and very much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Natalie, for your interest. Stay strong and healthy. God bless.
You too. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. As you know, we're going to be doing regular updates with C-levels, economists, chief investment officers, all the people that I respect the most and gratefully have had extraordinary relationships with over the decades now. That's positive, getting older. Also, now that I'm almost 60, I actually get to go an hour earlier to get my groceries. I'm so thrilled with this too. So stay strong, keep your faith alive, and yay, 60. It's the new 40.